burgers full of money, dead raccoons, and Happy Meals with a side of heroin. While these may sound like scenes out of a Quentin Tarantino movie, it's really just a sampling of the outlandish stuff that has actually gone down at McDonald's. In 2013, high school senior Ryan Mash was sitting in the drive-thru at a Georgia McDonald's when a man behind him yelled for him to stop holding up the line. Then, the guy pulled a gun on him. Mash said the man leaned into his car window, pointing the gun at him and yelling, "Do you know who I am?" Mash recalled, "The second I saw the gun, I blacked out." The man was later identified as Scott Biumi, a 25-year veteran of DeKalb County Police. Biumi was arrested and lost his job before being placed on 10 years probation for accosting Mash. In court, the former cop revealed a long history of mental illness, saying he had even undergone electroshock therapy. Another drive-thru customer, Shanika Monique Torres, lost her cool at a Michigan McDonald's in 2014 and popped off a gunshot into the restaurant's drive-thru. And it was all because her bacon cheeseburger was missing one particular thing on 2 different occasions.
Bacon. Bacon. Bacon.
After her first order was wrong, the manager offered Torres a free burger. But when she returned to the McDonald's at 3 a.m. for another bacon cheeseburger, the bacon was once again missing. That's when she'd had enough and fired into the restaurant. Torres' attorney argued that the gun went off by accident, but the jury didn't buy it. She was sentenced to 3 to 7 years in prison. Anthony Andrew Gallagher obviously liked to be creative with how he pays for his Micky D's fix because he tried paying for his order at the drive-thru with marijuana. Who knows if Gallagher had successfully used weed as payment at other Port St. Lucie, Florida fast food joints, but the McDonald's worker denied the payment and Gallagher sped off. Anybody who's had a French fry craving knows that when McDonald's fries are on the mind, anything else is just a poor substitute. And when Gallagher returned to the restaurant later, police were waiting for him. He was then busted for possession and driving under the influence. Finding a wad of cash in your breakfast order might seem lucky, but it's also probably a sign that something is awry. That's exactly what happened to a couple in 2013 when they hit up a McDonald's in Hermitage, Tennessee. Stacey Terry told a local news station,
"My husband opened the bag and discovered that there was money inside and said, 'You're not going to believe this.'"
That cash turned out to be the location's bank deposit money. A presumably panicked employee quickly discovered the mistake and caught up with the couple, who thankfully willingly returned the money. Terry indicated the couple didn't hesitate to hand the money back over, saying,
there's no other way to have it. I couldn't live with myself with that.
3 years later, Dave Cook was eating with his mother at a McDonald's in Chesterfield County, Virginia. He bit into his burger and found $20. Cook said, "I've heard of people finding strange things in their salad, but never finding something like this in a cooked burger. I was in disbelief. I was like, is this for real?" Cook said he then saw 2 men sitting near him chuck under their burger buns. But of course, they were met with beefy disappointment. When pressed for how such a thing could have happened, the restaurant's managers were bewildered and referred the incident to corporate. Talk about an unsolved mystery. Fast food jobs don't exactly have a reputation for paying well, so one former McDonald's employee brought their side hustle to work. Shantia Dennis was working at a Pittsburgh McDonald's in 2014 when she was busted in a police sting for using the drive-thru window to sell heroin. Customers who were looking for some extra value in their meal would pull up and say they wanted to order a toy, a boy's toy specifically. That was code for a bag of heroin, which customers would be given in a Happy Meal box at the drive-thru's first window. A typical Happy Meal would go for $2.99, but these drug-filled Happy Meals were selling for much more. CNN reported the cost was $2 for the toy and $80 for the heroin inside. The undercover cops who made the bust got 10 bags of the dope inside their Happy Meal and recovered an additional 50 bags of heroin plus marijuana. And that wasn't even the first time a Pennsylvania McDonald's employee was arrested for allegedly selling heroin. Theodore Levon Upshaw was arrested for the same thing while working at a McDonald's in Murraysville, Pennsylvania. One precocious 8-year-old boy in Ohio was determined to do whatever was necessary to visit his favorite restaurant in 2017. After his parents fell asleep, he went straight to YouTube for a tutorial on how to drive a car. With his 4-year-old sister in tow, he stole his parents' car keys and set off for the closest McDonald's. Pranks in the McDonald's drive-thru aren't exactly a rarity, and workers assumed the parents were hiding in the back of the car. After multiple calls came in about a kid driving through town, police were able to catch up with the kids at the restaurant. Shockingly, the kid was pretty much an ace behind the wheel. East Palestine Patrol Officer Jacob Kohler said he didn't hit a single thing on the way there. It was unreal. And yes, the youngster ultimately got his cheeseburger, along with McNuggets and fries. Employees and patrons of a San Francisco McDonald's were definitely not loving it when a man strolled into the restaurant during breakfast carrying a dead raccoon. It hadn't been preserved through taxidermy either. This was straight up roadkill. Customer Chris Brooks said, "He came to the counter and I thought it was a dog at first." The man reportedly came in screaming for help and ignored employee demands that he leave before carrying the animal over to a table. The raccoon was dripping blood all over the floor, so Brooks whipped out his phone and started filming. The police showed up to handle the situation, but the critter carcass had pretty much ruined breakfast. The place had to be immediately closed and sanitized. A Kansas McDonald's employee found himself in big trouble when he was accused of spiking a police officer's drink with cleaning solution. In 2018, Trevor Hockaday was arrested and charged with aggravated battery of a law enforcement officer for allegedly adding a peroxide-based cleaner to an officer's beverage when serving him in the drive-thru. Not long after consuming the drink, the police officer started having flu-like symptoms. He didn't know what the cause was until another McDonald's employee told police that Hockaday had added a few squirts of the cleaning agent to the beverage. Hockaday was quickly fired, and his charges could carry up to 20 years of prison time. Customers at a Jamaica Queens McDonald's in 2014 were just trying to enjoy their usual Micky D's order when a man casually strolled in while chatting on the phone with his family. Nothing out of the ordinary there except, well, he did have a knife sticking out of his back. Witness Tromaine Yancey told CBS 2,
"I heard everybody screaming and it was a lot of commotion."
Yancey added, "The guy came and he was standing there with a knife in his back, and it was a kitchen knife." Understandably, people tend to freak out a little when another person in the restaurant has a blade lodged in them. Other witnesses reported seeing a fight on the street several minutes earlier that the stabbing victim was believed to have been involved in. An incident like this has a real way of ruining an appetite, and several people in the restaurant immediately stopped eating to try to help the man before he was taken to the hospital. Typically, when you hear about a vehicle crashing into a storefront, it's a car or a truck. It might not be an everyday occurrence, but this kind of thing happens more than you might think. And there's really no telling what can happen in a drive-thru, like the driver who crashed into a lineup of cars while trying to evade police. Yep, those things all really happened at McDonald's. It's a whole other level, though, when the threat of a crash comes not from the street, but from the skies above. In 2014, a small prop plane crashed into the parking lot of a McDonald's in Monroe, Louisiana. Nobody on the ground was hurt, but the pilot, who was the only person in the plane, did have to be airlifted to a hospital for his injuries. The fast food restaurant wasn't even 2 miles from the airport, but the plane was having fuel problems, and witnesses said it clipped several trees before finally going down at the Golden Arches. Straw-based violence erupted on New Year's Eve in 2018 at a McDonald's in St. Petersburg, Florida. According to CNN, a city ordinance was about to go into effect, requiring that customers would need to specifically ask for straws. McDonald's employee Yasmin James was on her shift that night when a customer, Daniel Taylor, didn't believe there was a new straw law. Instead, he angrily accused employees of not doing their jobs. Another customer, Brenda Bianduti, began recording it all on her cell phone. Suddenly, Taylor lashed out at James and grabbed her from across the counter. James told News 19 she was terrified, saying,
"I was scared, so I just wanted him to just get off. It was just, get this man off me. Just please get off me."
James fought back ferociously. According to the Shade Room, as a teenager, she took boxing lessons. Taylor was dragged out and charged with 2 counts of simple battery. McDonald's management cooperated with the investigation and granted James paid leave. Bianduti was on the fence about her kids posting the video, which went viral on Facebook. She said, "I want all the employees at McDonald's to be safe. I think they acted appropriately. I want peace. I want them to keep their jobs and the man to get some help. We all need to learn how to talk to people in public and show them some respect. According to Inside Mystery, on January 13, 2020, at about 3 a.m. in Pueblo, Colorado, 13 McDonald's employees summoned police to investigate what they believed to be a demonic entity. All of them heard a screaming phantom woman, sounds of barking, and someone speaking a strange language. They refused to leave the premises until dawn. Police did a thorough search around the exterior of the building but found nothing. And although security cameras recorded the employees' terrified reactions to what they heard, no sounds were captured. Pueblo Police Captain Tom Rummel later tweeted, "3 officers searched the area but didn't come up with the source of the disturbance." Someone responded enigmatically to Captain Rummel's tweet with 2 words, La Llorona, a fearsome figure who stems from a southwestern legend about a ghostly woman who screams through the night searching for her dead children. Another odd coincidence is that it happened during the so-called witching hour, the time between 2 and 4 a.m., when people are supposedly especially likely to perceive paranormal occurrences. As reported by Week in Weird, this creepy encounter is hardly the first time a McDonald's has been haunted. They're everywhere, after all. On New Year's Day 2020 at 4 a.m., at yet another Florida McDonald's, 19-year-old McGuire Marie McLaughlin demanded extra packets of dipping sauce in every flavor. According to Oxygen, she then flew off the handle when told she'd have to pay 25 cents for each one. According to the arrest report published on the Smoking Gun, McLaughlin had put in a large order at the drive-thru. When told she'd have to pay extra for extra dipping sauce, McLaughlin rather ominously threatened to, according to the arrest report, get the sauce by whatever means necessary. When police arrived on the scene, arresting Officer Christian Castano noted he smelled booze on the teenager's breath and that she was behaving drunkenly and slurring her speech. As Officer Castano escorted McLaughlin to the patrol car, she locked her legs and refused to go further. Castano tried forcing her into the patrol car, but in his words, she proceeded to place her legs in the door jamb and refused to get inside. An assisting officer helped him get McLaughlin down to the ground and put her in a restraint. Fox News reported that the belligerent teen was charged with 1 count of disorderly conduct and 1 count of resisting arrest. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more MASH videos about your favorite fast food chains are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.